I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:32. I'd like to recognize Laura and Kathy from the library and Joe and Chip relating to the town office renovations. Are there any additions to the agenda tonight?
No. Can I suggest a change to the agenda?
I didn't get there yet, but in a minute.
Okay.
Are there any additions to the agenda tonight?
None.
None. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight?
Yes, I would like to suggest that the library, which is a much shorter presentation, go before the GPI guaranteed maximum price. So I'm suggesting actually that the library be moved to either to 7 or 8.
It's not going to be...
Or CD.
Oh, to take place at the highway?
Or just to move it up before we start talking
We can
about
do that because
the...
Danny's not going to be here, right? So it'll take the place of the highway presentation.
Well, the highway is going to take all 32 seconds.
Okay, and Joe and Chip will be okay with us taking 5 minutes to talk about, is it 5 minutes?
It says 15 here, but...
We probably don't need 15.
Okay. Hi, Doris, how are you?
Oh, fine.
Okay, so we'll do that. I'd like to ask if everybody had a chance to read the minutes of the regular meeting of May 14th? Wasn't
Yes.
it May 20? Oh, it's May 14th, today's the 20th.
Because of the holiday.
Sorry, May 14th. And is there a motion to accept?
I so move.
I will second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Will you kindly sign that, please?
Certainly.
Would you like to give us a general highway update, Peter?
I spoke with Dan yesterday. The road crew's been rather busy finishing up with grading the roads in town, as well as replaced a few culverts down Weatherhead Hollow and
They
Packer-
did one on the Packer Corner.
and they did one on Packer Corner Road as well. And fixing equipment. They hope to be finished with the spring grading by the beginning of next week, and we'll be moving on to other projects.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
The next item on the agenda is library capital improvements.
I
So,
want to add something to Peter's report, which is they picked the parking area at the library today, and there's finally a step at the bottom that doesn't wiggle when you go
nice
to
is
walk up
that?
the stairs. Yay, Howard.
so please join us at the table. You can bring a chair up if you'd like. Laura, everybody signed up?
Movable.
I like it.
Yeah,
So
handy.
lovely new movable chairs.
Lightweight.
It's wonderful.
So, hi everybody.
Hi.
So I'm here with Kathy as the chair of the trustees, Guilford Free Library. And what we're here to talk about are some capital improvements, and we want to present to you what the trustees have been working on, but of course we need your input and advice and hopefully support. And what is informing our thinking as a board of trustees is our strategic plan. That we have had a strategic plan for years, and this is our most current one. And I've got more actually if we ran out. There we go. And what we're really wanting to do is two things. And the first thing we want to do is remove the rug that is in the front room, the adult collection room. And what we'd like to do is remove the rug and refinish the floor and urethane the floor. And that is also part of the 5-year plan you guys created, capital improvement for all the town buildings.
So just for the record, we didn't create it. We received it from the assessors.
Okay.
And
But it's town-wide,
Right.
of town buildings.
Capital needs
That's-
assessment.
Thank you. Capital needs assessment, those are the words I wanted. And so that's on that plan, and we'd like to move on that. So we have, this explains the front floor. Kathy will be speaking in a minute, we'll get to the second thing. And so basically we're here to talk about what's going on at the library in terms of the building and wanting you to be informed, number one, but number two, want your input and support and advice and guidance. And so the first piece of business is the floor of the front room. And we'd like your advice, well, your approval that we move forward on this. And than advice. What we'd like to do is get a professional floor person to advise us, because there's the big question of what to do with the bookshelves, because there's a rug and we want to get rid of the rug, the old disgusting rug. And what's the best way to do that? So we want professional advice about that. And we'd like to just have a wooden floor with a good doormat when you first come in, and refinish the floor with a real durable urethane. The children's room floor is painted floor, and that works really well. They're just easily cleanable.
And Laura has a memory of why that rug was put in.
I
the
was still a
first
trustee then.
place. She's been a trustee.
Been a
forever.
trustee for like
As
almost
long as
30
you've
years.
lived.
Almost 30 years, yeah. So back before we did our foundation work, which was a number of years ago, the library was really, really cold. Like really cold. And there's a story of a librarian before, like few librarians ago, I think it was Marion, the librarian. And she'd stay out in her car with the car running. And when a patron came, she'd run in and check out books. In the winter, of course.
That was reported in the Gazette, I think.
It
Yeah,
was, that's a
I
story
think
from the
we
Gazette.
heard
Yeah. So anyway, so now we did the foundation work, which is wonderful. So the upstairs is much tighter and warmer. We don't need that rug. We put that rug in to make the room a little bit warmer. But it's also very disgustingly dirty and ooky-wooky, what I would say ooky-wooky. You can see how I feel about rugs. But so that's the first order of business. And then the second is about wanting to build an addition. So should we talk about the first question first?
I'm just trying to think about how we might, I'm now looking at the capital needs assessment report, which talks about the structure, the basement water, the ventilation, the heating, just the energy efficiency,
Yeah.
plumbing, electrical, and interior work. And I haven't gotten to the recommendations, I'm just talking about the problems, the
It's coming.
exterior, or the things that were looked at, the roofing,
Right.
chimney, accessibility. And I haven't got to the recommendations, I'm just looking at the
Yeah.
report. And I'm looking at this going, how does this
Yeah, so
dovetail
that,
with the
where that
report?
dovetails is goal number 1, remove rug in front room and finish floor. So this is just, we wanted you to know what the trustees as a group of our vision for the library, and it's our strategic plan that we set a year ago. So we wanted you to know our work and our vision. But it does dovetail with this needs assessment work that happened. So, because you'll see if you keep going in that report you were just reading, it does get to
And
the
there-
front room and the room.
And there is an item in the capital improvement plan that segments capital funds for the flow, just for what she's talking about.
Okay, we are not at the point where we have tied those figures into aspirations and needs, I guess.
It's just, I think it's a little ahead of the game, but that's,
I mean,
might as well get out
We
there.
actually have money in this year, we believe, for capital improvements
Yep.
in the library, and that, which ends June 30th.
Right,
So you
right.
have like 17 and a half days to get it done.
Right.
And then,
But we could potentially contract with someone.
and then we have more money, believe, in the capital, in the source of funds for capital improvements in the library for fiscal year 2019. But this isn't a presentation for, so this is where you were, not where the assessment, where the report is, I think. And so, it looks like you might need $1,000 to pick up the rug and fix the floor.
Yeah, which, if we would
This
pay for
year.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we would pay for that. But I think it's more the broader request, or not even request, the broader purpose for coming tonight was to have strong, clear communication between the trustees and the select board. And especially now that we're really more actively part of the town government. And so we're just trying to be in the up and up and really, because this is different from how we've been pretty
Right.
autonomous
Right.
for all the 30-some years I've been on the board. So we're trying to, you know,
Figure that
work
out.
together.
Navigate that. So, I think that there are extensive renovations and repairs detailed in the capital.
Yep. Yeah, we've all
Needs-
read it very thoroughly.
And, so, but I don't think it includes maintaining the gardens or building a food pantry, if I remember correctly. So some of these issues are consistent with that,
Well, I
and
think
some of them are
But
different.
she's only
But,
presenting
no.
the strategic plan as a context.
Yeah.
this is the
For
context for the,
what, you know,
right.
and it just happens that in the strategic plan is a repair of that, of taking out the rug
Yeah.
and doing the floor.
The
So,
pantry has nothing to do with this visit
yeah.
tonight.
So
Got
we're, yeah,
Okay,
It's just
this
the
is
context
really,
of-
I just wanted,
This is
we
more
wanted
an
to share.
informational
Okay, yeah,
set
We
of
wanted to
sharing.
share this
This is
with
the
you.
strategic plan.
This is our
You've
long-range
looked at
view
the capital
Okay.
improvement
until
town
2020.
plan.
This is awesome then, okay.
Okay?
so there's a lot in here that has
We're not
nothing to do with
asking-
the select board.
We're not
Yeah.
asking the town to do this.
Okay. All right, so what you would be asking us for this year
Mm-hmm.
is to cover the cost of the carpet removal.
Refinishing, yes, remove the carpet and refinish the floor in the front room. Yes.
So, Peter, tell me, am I correct if it's less than $2,500, we don't need to go out to bid on
That
it?
is correct.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
that's
good to
good.
know. That's helpful.
Less than 2,500?
Yeah,
And if it's less than 1,500, we technically do not need the select board approval.
Okay, I'm writing this down.
That is according to the select board's own
Okay.
policy.
Okay.
I mean, I think as a courtesy to the select board, it would be nice to
Yeah.
know that you're advancing on this recommendation
Sure.
in the capital needs report.
Mm-hmm.
And you are intending to make this improvement and we can check it off on the
Right,
list.
right.
And we can, and I would think that it would make sense to look at all of the, I mean, I know you've been given a copy of that
Mhm.
report
We've studied it
to
carefully.
know
Yeah.
where we could go with it. And I know you've been very involved in the source of funds for this over the next several years and to sort of lay out a plan for getting RFPs where we need it. You know, getting people in to do it, to schedule it, hopefully using Guilford contractors.
Right.
You
All
know,
of that.
All of that.
So,
I think you're good on the
so maybe I
rug.
can move us to the second item.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, let me just recap. So for the floor, it sounds like we could just bring in a floor professional and get guidance and get a bid. And if it's less than 2,500, just move forward.
Yeah.
Well, if it's less than 2,500, you don't have to get
I don't have to
additional
get-
bids.
Right.
But if it's above 1,500, then you'd have to come and request a specific permission,
Authorization.
from the select board to spend those funds.
Okay, okay.
To move ahead.
Yes.
Correct.
Once they've done the pre,
Once we get
work, the
Yes.
work.
the
yeah.
figures and who we
Yeah.
want to work with and
Correct.
so forth and so on.
And it would be really awesome if that was before June 30th.
Yeah, yeah, we did know that, actually.
Yeah.
And that's why we pushed on getting on the
Yeah, no,
agenda
that's
tonight.
great.
Yeah. So now the next item
That
is,
library board, I'm telling you.
Yeah, they move.
the next item is larger, literally, figuratively, in many ways. Because the next item, which is something we've dreamed about for years, is an addition. And Kathy has this, and in a moment Kathy's going to speak about this. And and just to give you the context to this, as I did for the floor, is we've had over the 30 years I've been on the board, we've had visits with our strategic plan, and we had Amy Howlett from the State Library Board come, and we met with various community people to get their input about their vision for the library for the next 5 years, the next 10 years. And we've done that. And this past town meeting, we had a survey. And so what we found confirmed what we think is that a lot of people agree with us that having an addition, having more space would be excellent. And Kathy wants to talk about her vision and just to say about the addition, we do have some funds from an endowment fund that we received, a gift that we received this year. So I'm not coming to you asking for your approval for this project. It's really preliminary to tell you what we're thinking and to get your input. So now Kathy, you take over.
Okay. Well, we need more program, meeting, and study space at the library. And it would be really nice to move the Vermont collection into this new room that I envision. And that someone could do some research in that Vermont collection room, which we would probably call the Miriam Howland room, because she left us the money that we want to use to build it. Then that would give enough room in the children's room, because we take all the books out of the children's room and put the books that are squashed into a little bit easier to reach form in the children's room. Another nice thing that we've been thinking about ever since we got the wireless SilverNet, the high-speed SilverNet, was the ability to have a room where a patron could sit down with a computer and consult with his doctor in Boston and not have to go to Boston, but really consult.
There's privacy.
To that sort of thing. That, it would have a door.
And they don't have that ability.
We don't have any doors. Oh yeah, a bathroom door. So that was one of the things I was thinking. Other things that my vision of this space does not address, but I really think we have to think about, are a comfortable sitting place in the children's room. And I think with a lot of the books moved out, the Vermont collection moved out, there'd be room for a nice comfortable sitting place for children. We need a study space in the adult room, but again, that could be used in this room as a study space. And more room for the adult collection, which is also bursting at the seams. And we're now looking at, how high can we raise these bookshelves before they get too high to reach? And let's see, we'd like to have help from someone who can turn all these ideas into a building plan that we could then follow. Now, I also started dreaming about this space about 3 weeks after we opened the bathroom, which would be about 20 years ago. So I've been dreaming it, and it's been taking place. And right now we have a typical square, it was sort of square building with a little bump on the back with a bathroom. And we'd like to even that out so it's now a rectangle. And that would be the other space. And it's not very big, but I love the idea of having the downstairs, because the incline of the hill goes like that. So the downstairs under this room could be used as program space. That would be also open to the outdoors. We do a lot of programs that involve being outdoors, so I have great ideas for this room.
Awesome.
It's just really pretty and lots of glass doors and looking out on beautiful pastures, wonderful things like that. And then, of course, I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we could also have a kitchen somewhere instead of heating up our food in the bathroom, in the microwave? So wouldn't it be nice if we had a little microwave that had a little shelf or something that wasn't in the bathroom? And actually, somebody donated the refrigerator that was here,
The big one?
the
Apparently.
little
Yeah, it's in our
one,
basement.
Okay.
and it's
For
in our
camps.
basement.
Great.
as
It's
of
perfect. It's
yesterday.
perfect. It's actually perfect.
So
Yeah.
because we needed a refrigerator because we can't use the grains this summer, so we turned our basement into a sort of mini kitchen. Just
So what is it
daydreaming.
that you
So,
need from the select board?
this is what I was about to say. So what we wanted we wanted to share this vision with you, but we would like to get some professional advice. And so we just wanted to tell you what we were thinking, and that's what we'd like to do, is bring someone in to talk to us about what we're envisioning and take the first steps to, like, what would this entail?
So are you talking about an architect?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or a
Yes.
builder,
Could be a builder.
whoever gives people like, I mean, I had a vision for the back room, and we had grant and hired David Ross, and he had a much better idea. But I
So it
didn't know
could be a
that
builder.
till, yeah, it could be a builder, it'd be a good idea to be a builder.
I see our architect sitting here with raised eyebrows.
That's all right. I mean, we're not
You're
saying,
taking copious notes.
we're not,
Yeah, right?
we're not saying negative or
I
positive
know,
either
right?
direction. Yeah.
So.
But we
um,
just want to know, can we do that?
I don't know. Here's like some like off the cuff thoughts that I have. One is as you think about expanding your public space and your public services, are you taking into consideration what Broadbrook Community Center, the Historical Society, and CC4G are doing?
Totally.
So that these
Yes.
complement as opposed to compete
Absolutely.
with
Yeah.
their services. That would be one. And I think it's an issue that would need to be addressed in any presentation to the public,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
about this.
I think that we already work very closely with CC4G. And I think that how this would be, first of all, it's not a big giant space that we're building, number one. Number two, it would expand a library environment, which is not what BBCC is going to
Right.
be. And it's also a space that Community Collaborative for Guilford, I can't stand all the acronyms.
CC4G, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, Community Collaborative for Guilford, play groups are going to start
Yeah.
that they're funding at the library. And we just had a family gardening party that was CC4G. So there are many things, because they're not building right now and they don't plan on building right
Yeah.
now. But anyway, so I see it as a library space and library programming,
So I'm
which
not sure
doesn't
that
mean that
we
won't
need that
use-
answer tonight, but I think that in any presentation to the public, those issues would need to be taken into
Sure.
consideration.
Yeah, sure.
The other thing is that, as we did with the whole town, I think it would be good to have a source and uses of funds, and then, like a project, the vision, the scope, the timeline, where we're gonna get the money. Some of it looks like it would come from your trustees and your benefactors, and some of it could come from the town, but we should have a comprehensive plan
And that's
that
what we're
we
wanting.
agree on.
Yes. Yeah.
And it is in 2020 in the capital
I
improvement
know.
plan that Gabby and I worked on.
Yeah.
The addition is put in there.
So-
That's a hypothetical document, of course, we
It
understand.
is. But one of the things that we haven't done is take out of that plan, we haven't made that document into action plans for each of the entities, each of the town assets. And so, in a way, the library would serve as our guinea pig for
Gladly.
saying, here's what we want to do, here's how it fits into our vision, here's how it serves the community, here's how it ties in with the other things, here's the source of funds, here's the timetable, here's the next steps that we'd like to do. That's kind of a big proposal. And then I would also connect with Katie and the Historical Preservation
And
Society.
Richard.
I'm meeting with her on Saturday.
Because I am pretty sure we can also get really big grants for this.
So is she.
So, so I think this is a great beginning. I think it's really good to have this introduction, and I would love to
Good.
have the library be our guinea pig
Good,
for
good.
for how to deal with
Yeah.
the other, like the historical
Right.
society has some needs, the town garage has some needs, and
Yeah.
what's the fourth building?
The garage.
The two town garages.
Yeah.
So I think those are going to
Yeah.
be less complex.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that's all good. Yeah.
so tonight, you want to know if you have money to do an assessment or to do a draft plan. I don't know.
Right. Right. Or we would take that out of some of our money that was bequested to us, too. I mean, we're ready to do that. The trustees are ready to do that. We've been talking about this for a long time.
Right.
Should you take a look at what maybe is out there in terms of grant money for even doing,
The planning.
the planning piece?
That's
Because a
true.
lot of the grants that I have seen come through the town have been planning grants, not, and the Grange being probably one, or the
Yeah.
CC4G,
And
one of them.
CC4G, yeah.
One of them just had a planning grant.
Right.
So it seems to be there's money available to do the planning.
Well, Katie and I are talking about grants on Saturday.
Yeah,
Good.
which is good. But to me, that's from a financial standpoint, that's
yeah.
probably one of the best places to start that conversation.
So we'll start with your conversation with Katie.
I also think that if you're starting to conceive of this whole project and the source and use of funds, identifying which aspect of the project is paid for by which source of funds, it can be worked
Right.
out over time. I don't think
Right.
that there's a point. I think it would be limiting to try to define it now. I'm guessing, but I think if you can identify grants and if you have bequests and if we have money ostensibly set aside through the capital improvements fund, then I think we'll figure it out
Right.
as it goes along. But
So it sounds like what I'm hearing is let's pursue a grant to get some money for planning and go from there. Is that what I'm hearing, just to sum it up?
I think what you're hearing is start planning, figure out where the money can come from these three sources so that we can,
Yeah, we've done some
Figure-
planning, but now we're ready to bring a
Yeah,
professional
yeah.
in. But to bring the professional in will cost money.
yeah.
So it sounds like we really need to get a grant.
Yes, but you might be able to get reimbursement from a grant after it's done, or reimbursement from
One thing
capital
about planning
improvement.
grants though is you can't
You
start,
can't-
No, that's,
cannot begin the work.
That's true, we just learned that someplace
Yeah.
else, yeah.
that's,
You-
But
wanna
if we,
look for the
but
planning
if we
grant first.
wanted to say spend $2,000 from our bequest
Mhm.
to hire someone to come with the initial advising or working with us, is that a direction we can go?
It is, but what Peter's saying is you would not get reimbursed from a planning
Yeah,
grant for
I
that.
understand
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I understand that.
So maybe the first thing is to get some information about the grants and ask that specific question about hiring someone professionally.
And just one other small note is that everybody talks about the declining number of children in our town, and I mean, my attitude is build it and they
But
will
it's
come.
not. But it's not declining because I do story time
Uh-huh.
and just had this family gardening party. I mean, I say this to people all the time. That the population of my firsthand experience is there's growth in Guilford
Which is
of
great.
young children, and I see that firsthand. And I tell people that all the time
And I
because we had a
think
long
that-
time of no.
Yeah, it's
Little
very
No, I
cyclical.
mean, what I was starting to say is that,
Build and they will come.
no, what I was trying to say is that your experience with the library could educate the town about how many potential children, how many children there are who use the library and then perhaps would be coming into the school, and that the strength of the library will be one of the sources
I see what you're
of
saying.
bonding
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
bonding young families to the public sector of
Yeah.
Guilford.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, that's
it might be the CC for G, and the library might be the first experience that young parents have of sort of civic Guilford.
That's true.
So that would be a good thing for people to be hearing.
Good point. Yeah.
So I think we've probably
I
spent.
would just like to make
enough-
another comment, which
Yes.
is that what you're bringing forward, and this is for the select board, is that we need to get a process of how this is working. I mean, I urged these folks to come tonight, and I spoke to both of you about the fact that these plans for all the institutions of Guilford are going to be coming forward.
Yep.
And so now you're giving us a kick in the ass, so to speak, of how do we begin to blend what the needs are of the, let's say, the capital improvements that are needed in the town, and how the select board and the treasury is responding to them.
So we're seeking guidance.
Yes, and I think it's very important for us to understand that this is the beginning of something
Yes.
that we need to learn
exactly,
how to.
the other thing we've got to do is get our hands around the priority of all those
That's
capital
right.
improvements.
Yep.
For, where things are most highly needed from the town's
I'm-
perspective.
I'm
so.
just gonna say that up till now, our focus has really been on the town
Right.
office, and that we know that there are other assets that we,
Coming.
we need to look at and figure out how to do this, but
Right.
like, we need to get through this last
Yeah.
thing. So
But this is great.
Well, good, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time.
no, thank you.
We
This is
appreciate
pretty
you bringing
exciting.
this before us.
And future agenda, can I or we get on a future agenda about the safety of the road? I know you guys had a conversation, but I would,
Yep,
to get-
we did, was it yesterday or day before yesterday?
Yesterday.
We spoke? Yesterday?
Yeah, that's another, that's another conversation.
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
if you could just put me on an agenda for a different meeting.
Okay,
Just send an email to me, please.
Okay, will do.
thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work.
Yeah.
been
Thank
done.
you, yeah. Peter, can you give me your email address?
My first name and my last name, all is one word, PEDERRUDE,
Yep,
@guilfordvt.net.
okay, thanks very much. Thanks for your time, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Do you want these extra copies?
So I would now like to invite Chip and Joe to the table, and I'm going to ask you to sit on either side so that Kaya can not film your backs.
Thank you, Peter.
I have this.
So Joe, I just shared the document that they all saw over the weekend that you sent to us last.
This one.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this item on the agenda is to talk about the guaranteed maximum price for the town office renovations, and to get to some sort of agreement on next steps. Gabby is not able to be here tonight, but she did send us a lot of questions, and I felt that it was important to address those questions for the record and to talk about them a little bit amongst us and with Chip and Joe here at the table. So I'm going to go through those in the order that I could make of them today. What I'm going to try to do is state what Gabby said, and then to make a comment, and then to solicit feedback or opinions. So I'm just going to go through this. If people feel that's a useful way of doing it, fine. I just want to make sure we've addressed everything, and then we can, in the course of that, if other people have questions about the process, we can work on that too. So one of Gabby's big questions was regarding long-term usefulness of the design and the ability to work while the building is occupied. And she said, first of all, our number and type of staff has dramatically changed over the past 10 years. And my comment to that was that this is not true. We have the same number of listers. We have a single town administrator. We have a single town clerk and an assistant treasurer. We have added an assistant town clerk and an assistant treasurer, assistant to the assistant treasurer in the past 2 years. So I don't know, I just want to see if everybody else is in agreement with that before we proceed. So we have basically the same number of people that we've had for years and that we are likely to have. Gabby then commented that we have already initiated discussions about additional potential staff changes, she means. And my comment on that is true. We have talked about perhaps having someone to help with communications or social media on an intern or a part-time basis, but that between this room and the second meeting room and the spare desk at that in the town assistant treasurer's office and in the spare desk at the town clerk's office, there is plenty of room to accommodate some or one or more part-time or interns, so that I think the office space is flexible to incorporate way more than Guilford is probably ever going to need for its 2,000 residents. Any comment? Okay.
Sounds right.
The third, she just basically said the concept of employees each having their own office is a traditional one that has been replaced in the last decade with an open office concept that can be flexible as staffing needs change. Keeping the same floor plan and tacking on a 300 square foot addition with another small office and bathroom seems insufficient for the town's long-term needs. And I feel that I generally disagree with this claim. So I don't see that this claim has merit, but I don't know if others...
And at Sheila's request, I spoke with
That's
two of my
right.
colleagues who were in the office today, and the overall sentiment is in agreement with that, with Sheila's statement, that it is for the nature in which this office works, that it is not outdated, and that the design that Chip and his team have prepared would actually be a great improvement of what we have to enable space for me, as well as an improved space for the listers, an improved space for our town clerk to be able to have a closer eye on the interactions and the work that researchers do with the town records, since she is the one that's inevitably responsible for them.
And Gabby's claim is just, she's speaking it as writing about it as if it's a given. It's just a style that's in vogue now to have open office space, but not every office has open office space.
It's pretty open here.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
I mean, the open plan,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and I thought that our plan was derived from what the staff felt most comfortable with. So to me, that's most important.
She also indicated that, or stated that making a purposeful movement corridor between the future large conference room and the bathroom seems to be seriously problematic, particularly given the recent break into our town offices and the vault themselves. And again, I think we are not inviting increased vulnerability, that the sight lines that Chip designed and the door side windows are specifically designed for us to have even better control over these areas, and that we have protecting the vaults themselves and the treasures area with relating to sensitive information. We're going to do this with a better vault security system that is not related to the renovation process. That this is actually something else we're working on, independent, because of the locks on the vaults and stuff like this.
And actually, I think if I speak with the addition, because I will no longer be located back here, the public will no longer have to walk through the treasurer's area where the treasurer's vault is, which
That's
is
true.
where our most secure information is stored. All of the public dealings will happen at that end of the office, where the majority of the people are.
That makes sense.
Another issue that she raised is, she said that she has heard people in the public talk about the high cost of the project. So we're going to get into the costs in just a moment, but I did talk with Joe about this, and right now the guaranteed maximum price of the project is $81 a square foot, which is considerably less than what would be $225 to $300 per square foot to build from new. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I would like to just add to that.
And let me just finish my sentence and then I'll
Sure.
let you add to it. And that excludes building around the vaults or relocating the vaults. And that also excludes the HVAC system. So yes, please.
Right. So the guaranteed maximum price is $263,945. There is an alternate that you asked me to price in addition to that for your HVAC system, your fresh air and your cooling. That came in at $34,015. So the total project $297,960. If you look at the building areas, the square footages, your first floor area is 2,337 feet. And that's including the proposed addition. The attic space is 923 square feet with a total building area of 3,260. If you do a square foot analysis of those particular areas, just taking into consideration what I'm calling the GMP, the guaranteed maximum price, the number less the HVAC. So if you just look at it from the first floor square area, not considering the attic. Now keep in mind there's some work going on in the attic, there's some insulation, there's drywall, and there's some painting and some other things going on there, which represent a fair amount of cost to the project. But if you just simply look at the first floor square area, you come up with a per square foot price of $113 per square foot. If you add the air conditioning on top of that, you're at $128 per square foot. And keep in mind, this is just the square foot area of the first floor, not taking into consideration the 923 square feet of the attic.
I'm sorry, could you repeat those two numbers, please?
Sure.
For the first floor analysis?
$113 per square foot and $128 per square foot.
Can I
Thank
ask
you.
a question?
1 second,
Sure, of
please,
course.
Dolores. Sorry, could you finish you want to finish your
Sure.
comments?
So if you take into consideration the attic, which there is, as I said, there is, you know, a fair amount of work going on up there. The total cost per square foot drops to $81 per square foot for the base amount of work and $91 per square foot for the total project. If you split the difference, because the per square foot analysis is difficult. Every building is different. You know, there's there's different areas. If you split the difference to try to come up with a reasonable amount, the per square foot cost for the GMP value is $97 a foot, and for the total project at $297, it's $109 a foot.
Okay.
So
Dolores?
When you're talking square foot per square foot, and the building is 3,000 square feet, you're not, so you're basing the price on $91 or $109 a square foot of the whole building, is that right?
I'm not basing the price on those numbers are based on, those square foot numbers are calculated from my detailed estimate. That's where.
So, but are you, like, per square foot, is it, I mean, how big is the addition? Wasn't it 300 square feet?
300 square feet.
So you're not basing it on that, 300
It's the
square feet?
whole building.
It's the whole building.
It's the total cost of the project divided by the total square foot on the first floor.
But why would you divide it by, like, are you doing anything out here?
Yes.
We are, he's using it to kind of help us understand. You can talk in square foot numbers as just kind of a baseline to understand. If it's new construction, it costs so many dollars
Right, I
per
can
square
see
foot.
that.
If it's a remodel like we're doing here, Joe's just taking out, he's backing it into a square foot number to try to make it
So you have
easier
a
for
price,
us
and you're
to
just-
understand.
You have a price for what this is gonna cost and that's gonna
Yeah.
cost, and then you're
Yes.
breaking it down.
Right, and what I'm
And
trying to
the
do
cost
is
of-
put it in kind of in perspective of what, you know, what renovations cost, what new construction
And that's a
costs.
question that a customer always asks, how much is it
Right.
How much
costing
did
me
it
a square
cost per
foot?
square
Yeah.
foot?
After you see the estimate, then you take the estimate first and then you break it down to what the cost per square foot is. It's just a way so the customer can understand
Right,
the cost adds up.
right. The pricing that's been given to the town, the cost of the project that's been given to the town has not been based upon square foot costs. It's been
Okay.
based upon competitively bidding various divisions of work and a detailed takeoffs that I've done and
And
put.
you're just breaking it down.
Yeah.
And I'm
Exactly.
taking that and breaking it down per square foot.
And we're
It's
gonna
more
get
because
in,
we've asked him.
yeah,
to
we're gonna get into
better
the costs, the estimates for the guaranteed maximum price that Joe has provided us in a minute, but this was just general comments. Chip,
I feel like there's a context here that's missing, and that is that at the town meeting, there was also a select board meeting, the question was raised that is this project, might you just take this whole building down and build a new town hall for the same price? And
or for less.
or for less. And so that's where, if that question is in your mind, then you would say, if we needed this much square footage and had to rebuild this, would it really cost less? And this is a very clear answer, that no, it wouldn't. It would cost less than half as much to do what we're doing than it would to take down the whole building and rebuild.
Thank you, Chip. So before we review the guaranteed maximum price, I wanted to find out if other select board members have any questions about, any general questions. Because we knew that on the agenda tonight was we were gonna look at the figures that Joe gave us and try to come to some agreement about proceeding.
I have two comments. One, have we finished with Gabby's comments?
She talked about planning for what it will mean for the office to be under construction while occupied, and that comes later in my notes. And that's basically, those are basically she talked about taxes, and I suggested that we talk about that at a different time, that is, you know, kind of, I mean, the statement that our taxes will increase because of this building is not true. Our taxes may increase, but it will not be because of this building.
But that shouldn't have a bearing
And it
on
doesn't
this
have-
discussion.
It doesn't have a bearing on this discussion.
The other, just in regard to context, I think it's important for the public to know that we met with Joe last week and went over the bids. So the select board and Joe met, and the bids were competitive, and there were a number of bids from Guilford townspeople. And so the bids were approved by a committee of the select board.
Yeah, so thank you. I was gonna say that we authorized Joe, GPI, to solicit bids using Guilford contractors as much as possible. We authorized him to do that or asked you to do that on the 23rd. And that on my part and on Peter's part and on Joe's part, we reached out to as many Guilford contractors as we could identify, by email, by Front Porch Forum, by mail, and you probably phoned them as well. I don't know how you got in touch with them. And that while not all Guilford bidders were selected, those with the requisite insurance coverage and the low bid were selected, along with other local businesses. And that but I also believe a fair majority of the work is going to be done by GPI. And I didn't know how much of GPI work versus other contractor work would be done, so. I didn't know if there was something.
Basically, what we're going to be doing is the selective demolition. We're going to be doing the carpentry items, you know, basically the framing of the addition, the trim, the siding, and subcontractor exclusions. You know, when various subcontractors exclude certain things through the job, we tend to fill in those gaps, and then the supervision and the project management.
So is the actual hands-on work about 50% of the project?
No, it's probably less than 50%.
And I think, yeah, one of the other questions that Gabby had was, how does your rate compare to the rates of the other contractors?
Our pricing?
Yeah, your pricing.
It's typically very competitive. It's hard to know unless you go out to a
I know.
bid, but yeah, no, we competitively bid on a regular basis, and I mean, I can provide you with some bid results if that would help.
I don't think that's
And I know our
necessary.
billing rates, and Chip can probably speak to this from our construction management proposal. The billing rates on our staff are very competitive.
I think we found that out in the RFP.
Yeah, they're,
Yeah,
they're-
in the RFP, we
yeah,
certainly.
Yeah.
they're, I can tell you they're in line with what you would expect.
So,
Sheila, I would, if you're finished with that
I am.
question, I just wanted to address one small thing that you raised, just so it doesn't get lost. And that is, you mentioned that you would independently be doing security for the building.
Locks on the vaults.
It's pretty much replacing locks in the vault.
Okay, it's not an overall security system?
No,
Okay, then,
right, I think we are pretty,
Last year, we updated the locks on all the exterior doors. We had a professional locksmith come in and give us advice on that. And then had the company that manufactures our vaults has come in and done an analysis for us and presented what they feel needs doing to make those more up to date and more secure.
so you're not planning, like window?
No security
sensors
system,
or-
not at the
okay.
moment.
Okay, I was just gonna suggest that if you were, it would be good to coordinate with us,
Right.
because there'll be open walls and
Right.
opportunities that will get closed up at the end of the job, so.
yeah, I think,
You guys had decided not at this time.
right. So, so we shared Joe's figures yesterday. I think I sent these out yesterday, right? And you got to a base price of $263.
$63,000.
Sorry,
Actually, it's 2,000.
$264,000
Right.
plus the HVAC is not in this, right?
And that's the
Correct.
alternate
Yeah,
one.
add 34,015.
297,960.
Do we have any sense of what, if we didn't do the HVAC?
If you didn't do it,
Yeah, I mean,
what's the question? If
well, we looked at numbers, didn't we? If we didn't do, we'd have to put in, obviously, air conditioners, but even with the heating system, there was a cost associated with converting.
Right, which is,
So we're still buying a furnace, which
No,
is.
well, you're not buying a furnace, you're relocating an existing furnace.
With putting in the HVAC, or,
Yes, moving the existing heating system.
Correct.
Into the new mechanical room in the
Right.
addition is included in the 263,
okay.
945.
So
that-
moving it,
So moving it, relocating it, and then the air conditioning and fresh air is the 34.
34, okay. Thank
So,
you.
part of the answer to that question, what would happen if you did nothing, is that, or you only did the heating part and not its air
Right.
conditioning and ventilation, is that we are significantly tightening up this building.
Right.
Right.
And the air quality will suffer
Mhm.
if you don't at least ventilate the building. And that, you know,
And actually, ventilation in this building is correct me if I'm wrong, but it is a building code requirement that you provide that, so.
I got you.
As
Thank
opposed
you.
to just opening windows?
uh,
Or
Yes.
window air conditioners?
no, window air conditioning would be acceptable, if not desirable.
Why not desirable? It'd take a lot, $30,000, $34,000, buy a lot of window air conditioning.
Well, okay, that's a big question but why you don't open the windows is, it's great to open them when it's 70 degrees out, but not when it's 20 degrees out. And so then you need ventilation.
So you're talking about heat exchange system?
Yes, there's a heat
Okay.
exchange system. So, I don't know, what's wrong with window air conditioners? They tend to leak air around them, they stay in when they shouldn't stay in. They're not as efficient.
They're loud.
You're talking about like reducing the effectiveness of the energy envelope the insulation envelope that you're gonna put into
Yes.
the building if we have window air conditioning units?
Yeah. I mean, they are a stopgap. If you didn't have anything else, they're
Yeah.
a reasonable.
Well, I'm just thinking, three years ago, 51% of the town was under the poverty level in Guilford. Do you really think that an extra $30,000, $34,000 for air conditioning is really a good way for townspeople to have to spend their money? I mean, there's gotta be, it would be nice if everybody had, air conditioning and in their own homes, but if they're going out to work and working to try and pay their taxes so that there can be heat exchange and heat and air conditioning in the office building, don't you think that's like spending the taxpayers' money a little frivolously? A coffee bar in here it seems like when there's people in town that aren't making any money and they're still paying way, way, way higher taxes so that it looks prettier not to have air conditioning units in your windows?
So I think aesthetics was actually not a consideration that I've heard raised in this. I think it is pretty.
Yeah, you said it didn't look very good.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. I was thinking that window air conditioners leak. They reduce the efficiency. They stay in all winter instead of getting taken out.
Why? Why can't they be taken out? It's not like they have to stay in all winter.
and they don't accomplish the job of the heat exchange in the 6 or 7 months of the year, the air exchange that is necessary. I know that the select board was pretty upset that we got an estimate of 60,000 something originally for this kind of system, and getting it down to an alternate system of 34 was much more palatable.
And typically in a commercial renovation, HVAC is a significant portion of the budget. In this case, it's 12% of the overall budget.
And it was 20.
It was
20%.
which is 20% an HVAC budget on a project of 20% is fairly typical.
So HVAC is heat, ventilation, and air conditioning, right? So it's 3 functions, not
Heating,
one.
ventilation, and air
Yeah.
conditioning, right?
Right, okay, sorry. As somebody who sat here and worked here day after day after day, in the summer or in the winter, when it's either really cold or really hot, and at night when we're having meetings, and when people are working here, every day, as opposed to me who comes in on a pretty regular basis, I think it is important to the town, to the residents, and to the morale of the staff, and to the ability of them to be able to work efficiently and to serve the town, to give them well-ventilated, appropriate heating or cooling for the work that they do in town.
I totally
yes.
agree with you, Sheila. I think that this is a public building. We have a staff to take care of. Staff need to have good working conditions. It's the law that they do, and we want to make the place where the town's business, and this town has a lot of business to take care of, can be done efficiently and comfortably.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they should be sitting in a sweatshop. I'm just saying that the considerations of a lot of people, the taxpayers in this town, that are basically being taxed out of town because the taxes go up and up and up. And, we're talking, $34,000 for, does that mean that the other furnace gets taken out? Is this in lieu of the other furnace? Or is this in
No.
addition
No, that's
to
gonna
the
stay.
other furnace?
No, the other furnace will stay.
So I would just like to make a comment about taxes. Taxes have not gone up in 3 years. They have stayed, the general budget has stayed flat for the 3 or 4 years, within $10,000 or so dollars, or gone down in all the years that I've been on the select board. So
I could bring you in my tax bill and show you that that's not.
I'm talking about the grand list. I don't know, individual taxpayers have different things, but that, I don't know how that, in the budget for the town has not been greater than it was in the past several years. So we've done a lot more with about the same amount of money. So I just want to go on record as saying that. Thank you for those comments, though. I think that the issue of HVAC in this building and the issue of the hemlock siding are 2 big concerns that residents have expressed. Some residents have expressed concern about. And I think that you did a good job, Joe, of getting it down by approximately 50%. Thank you. And still, I think, satisfying our needs with a much less sophisticated but still efficient system, or heading in that direction. I just wanted to also address the hemlock siding. Gabby also asked a question about that. Why are we going with that? We did have this discussion on the 23rd, and most of 3 of the select board voted to go with hemlock siding, and 2 of us voted against it, and that's where that lays. We just got voted out. So I don't know if people had questions about other costs in this proposal, the guaranteed maximum price. Was there anything else that you wanted to describe to us, Joe?
Well, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. We have essentially gone through the budget, gone through the subcontractor bids.
Could I ask Joe why you would take vinyl siding off a building that is basically maintenance, almost maintenance-free, and putting hemlock on, which would have to probably be painted every 5 years?
It would have to be painted. I was asked to provide some options to the town. Vinyl siding, an engineered wood product, clapboard siding, and hemlock siding. I provided the pricing, I provided, in my opinion, the advantages and the disadvantages, and the town made the decision. It's not my decision.
But we did have to take the vinyl off.
But to answer this question, I've heard as a select board member that the current vinyl on the outside of this building, the exterior, is brittle. And if they go to alter sections because of some of the work we've got to do, that pieces are going to get broken and you can't
Right.
pull it off
And
cleanly.
Gordon is correct. I mean, you can't, part of the project, let me back up. Part of the project is we're gonna be stripping all of the siding off, and we're going to be providing additional insulation and air sealing on the exterior of the building, providing some new windows in this center section. So the siding has to come off as part of the project. So the options were what goes back on the building: vinyl siding, an engineered wood type product siding, or hemlock siding.
Where does the price on vinyl come in as opposed to, I know you guys don't like vinyl because it doesn't look pretty, but.
Not all
I mean,
of us.
but-
Not all of us. That's not
I mean, but
totally true.
I'm talking about a maintenance factor.
Right, I
over the
understand.
next- Over the life of a building.
The select board, we looked at the numbers, and as Sheila just said, it was a vote of 3-2 to go with the hemlock. I forget what the cost differential was between the vinyl and the hemlock.
Well, the cost that were presented also incorporated a number of other things, some insulation improvements and some other things that were rolled
Right.
into that. So I don't have those specific.
So my
costs here
recollection is that vinyl was one cost and manufactured wood wasn't that much different
Right.
from the vinyl, and then hemlock was a little higher than the manufactured wood, and it was the preference of 3 of the select board members to go with the hemlock for various reasons.
Yeah, among those reasons was that a town building reflect the tradition, the building tradition of the town, which is wood siding, rather than vinyl, which is a more modern, type of siding, which has the disadvantage that although you don't have to maintain it in its lifetime, it is impossible to maintain. You can't repaint it.
Yeah, you can repaint vinyl. I'm a painter, you can repaint vinyl.
Well, then if you were willing to repaint vinyl, then it's the same cost to repaint vinyl or to repaint the.
But you don't have to do it as often as you would wood siding.
Well, it depends what you want it to look like.
So I'm just gonna say that actually that's not a question anymore because the select board already selected the hemlock. And that is actually not open unless the select board wishes to consider that choice. And which means we would need to get a different price quote on that, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I realize it's not gonna happen, but to me, it just seems like over the course of time, it's just gonna end up costing money. And at $60 this year, $60 for a gallon of latex paint, you figure it out.
It's expensive. No, I think you raise a good point.
Let me just ask this question, does the select board wish to consider again?
Well, Gabby
Deciding-
isn't here, and I
Gabby
don't
voted for
think,
the hemlock.
I don't
So-
wish to reconsider it.
I don't want to consider it. I mean, we were also trying to recognize that the town voted to try to have a more green, if you want to call it that, approach to the buildings that we have here. And that vinyl siding or the wood composite wasn't in keeping with that vote. I mean, the vote was only a recommendation, but the article passed overwhelmingly, and I took that seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And the select board took seriously the decision about which of those three to choose. We talked about prices, we talked about durability, we talked about maintenance factors.
Any more questions about the costs? Chip, Joe, is there anything you'd like to tell us, suggest things that you might, I mean, I feel like I went over this again really, and probably drove you crazy yesterday and last Friday.
Joe, I guess, like, one of the questions I had on the clarifications part, the allowance of 32 man-hours, moving furniture and additional labor, you're a professional at putting these bids together. We're close, I'm assuming,
I would think so, but something like moving furniture, your guess is probably as good as mine
Okay.
on that.
Okay.
So I wanted to include something in the budget to be
Gotcha.
responsible.
Right.
Because I'm sure we're gonna be, moving
Have
things
to do
around and
something.
working with Peter. But there's gotta be some sort of definition on what we're responsible for and what we're not, so.
And those are allowances.
Right. But no, he's allowed 32 man-hours. If
Yeah.
it goes over, then there's a premium paid,
Right.
as he stipulates here. But I just, go ahead.
Technically, because of the town's liability and workers' comp insurance,
Right.
those of us who work in the office are not limited, supposed to
Correct.
move furniture and other items within the office aside from relating to our regular work.
And I will confess that you have done a great deal of furniture removal, rebuilding,
We don't talk
reconstruction.
about that.
We're not gonna talk about it, okay.
Just don't pull your back out doing it.
Yeah, please.
File a claim.
Or keep it to yourself.
Can I have an excuse for a minute?
Yeah,
Of course.
Okay, thanks.
and you're
You
here
may-
for what?
Senior Solutions presentation. On the
It's not on the agenda.
I'm not on the agenda.
Oh, dear.
How'd that happen?
All right,
Please-
that's, I'm sorry, and I'm interrupting your.
No, that's, it's fine, I thought maybe you were here for the town office renovations and
No,
I,
I wanted to be here a little earlier, but I got lost, I went up and down
so Senior Solutions,
to update you
organization.
on what we're doing.
Oh.
And the services that we offer to the population,
I
talk about the
think
DOJ
that-
grant.
I think that we have that on the agenda for June 11th.
well,
All right,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
That's horrible.
don't apologize.
sorry you're sitting here that long.
Oh, it's all right.
So
Calendar's out in the car. All right. I will double check. I'll
Why don't you
let
check
know.
with Peter about the
I'll
date
Pardon?
tomorrow? Why don't you check with Peter about the date that it is on the agenda
Yeah,
tomorrow?
that's what I'm gonna do.
Good.
I'll call up tomorrow and check with you guys.
Sorry to
Anyway,
have you-
good luck
So
with your
sorry.
day.
Oh, you're welcome to
Sorry.
stay.
Oh, thanks. I've been on the go since very early this
Yeah,
morning.
I'm
Well, go
sorry
home and
that
put your
you-
feet up.
And thank you for all of the work that Senior Solutions
Well,
does.
stay tuned because we're planning more.
Oh, okay, I can't wait to hear about it on June 11th.
Some of us are rather senior.
And then I'll probably come back another time just for good measure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care.
You can still use the restroom.
Well, that's all right. Thanks.
So, in addition to the base scope of work, alternate number one, which is the HVAC system, and the, handicap ramp and steps to the main entrance, which are the alternates that we asked GPI to provide quotes on. I want to acknowledge the town also has soft costs, which are.
The steps and the ramp to the main
Main
entrance
entrances
are
are
included
included
in the
Right.
base
In the
price.
263.
Yes.
Yeah.
The 7,400 is
It's
for this ramp.
ramp.
Oh, I thought we agreed not to do that.
That's
did.
why
That's
Joe
why
did
it's
it
an
as an
alternate.
alternate.
Oh,
yes.
If we added it, that's what the
Oh,
cost
that
is.
would get us to the 305 with that alternate?
Yeah, I think if you add them all up, that's the 305.
Yes.
Didn't we
that.
decide not to do that at the
That's,
last
Yes.
meeting?
my
we
understanding
did.
was you didn't.
Joe's
you-
just
correct.
providing the
You're just trying to
information.
confuse me. You're trying to be so diligent.
So,
Sorry.
we're gonna,
No, as Gordon stated, the select board decided not to do the entire
Yeah.
section.
just that's my
Only
recollection.
the main
Yes.
entrance, but you did ask Joe to provide a quote for the
What it would
cost
cost.
Yes, I
of
remember
doing
that.
So we had an idea.
Yeah.
just so you know what would happen, and you had discussed the potential of maybe in a couple of years doing that additional work since
Okay, that
in the
was all my
process.
questions to you yesterday, so good. I'm glad we're,
Okay,
so we're
So
not
it's-
including that in the base
that is
price.
correct.
As far, unless everybody wants to change
No.
our minds.
No.
I don't think we need to. Okay, so that is not
And it's not,
205.
it's not ADA compelled, is it?
This,
No.
no, we
Not to
have the
build
one
into-
entrance,
We
that's
can
good.
use-
As long as we
utilize
have
one.
one, okay.
And someone can move from, one end of the building to the other comfortably.
So it's not 305.
297, I think.
297.
That's the number that Joe
96.
just gave earlier, was the 297.
If we use the two figures.
Okay, sorry, 297, 960. Okay, so the soft costs, we would have an owner's contingency of approximately 10%, which we are unlikely to have to spend, which would be $30,000. We have architectural fees of $21,000. Is that what you thought, Gordon?
For just architectural, yes, I believe that was the number. If you include engineering, it's higher than that.
Roughly?
Yeah, you should probably think of it
Yeah,
as
gotta find my
all
notes.
design fees.
Architect and design fees, and, sorry, can you just,
Yep. I just have to find the piece of paper I wrote out all that information on.
I'm just gonna go with
Let me
298.
let me use more exacting arithmetic off of Joe's, so the 297, 960.
Okay, so we know from the contract that was signed with Chip
All right,
that the architectural fees is going to be 6% of actual cost of construction,
which was
plus mechanical engineering
Correct.
of 5,000, electrical engineering of 3,900,
5,000. And then what was the next number?
electrical engineering 3,900,
Yeah,
civil engineering 8,600, and structural review of 1,400, plus any potential reimbursable expenses.
Okay, the structural review might be a savings. You could keep it in your mind.
Okay.
I'm going with maximum right now.
That's fine, and then you should include it.
So what did you
So,
get, Gordon?
I've got to redo it because I stopped. Plus 3,900. 36,777. That's based on Joe's
297.
the 297 960 number.
So that actually gets us over, that gets us to 367,000.
How did-
No,
How did you
no,
get there?
297
297 plus the-
960.
Contingency?
334. Well, okay, the hard cost then.
Hard cost
talking
plus
about-
contingency.
Okay,
You're right. I didn't take into
297,
consideration.
let's say 298, plus the contingency is 29,800, plus the fire fee is 2,657, plus CHIPS fees are,
$36,777. That's chip and all the engineering.
Right, which is our responsibility.
Right, right. But
Yes,
I,
yes.
I want the
Yeah.
public to understand that it's not solely an architectural. Give me the 10% number.
29,800.
29,800, and that's the soft cost number that you're
That's the
factoring
owner's
in?
The
contingency.
owner- If you choose to put a contingency in there.
But, you know, whether we spent it or not is something else, but.
Right.
$367, $234. Max. With a lot of contingencies built in there. Your contingency, our
Yeah,
contingency.
we have 5,000
Chip's
in our number.
contingency.
Yeah.
And then what we didn't consider is furniture that we, we moved up here window treatments if we do it, which are not
They've not been accounted for.
accounted for.
What was the total project cost number you had?
367,234.
So you had 364, 537?
367,234.
And that includes all of the contingencies.
slightly-
Did you
And
add the,
so-
did you add the
Yeah.
fire safety permit in there?
Oh, no, probably not.
2647. It's 224, I find.
367, 184?
367, 234,000.
That's closer.
And
One
that
of us
does
is off.
include the fire.
That includes the
Yeah.
fire permit, that includes a 10% owner's contingency.
No, I understand all that. What I was wondering about, not having that much construction experience, how often do these contingencies get all used up in a building
I
project?
mean, it depends on the job.
Yeah.
And the contingency is typically for something that's unforeseen. If
No, I understand that.
Which by its very definition, it's hard to
Right.
anticipate at this stage of the game. There could be a giant boulder underneath where
Right.
you're gonna put your addition or some other,
No, I
Usually-
understand that.
There's something else that happens with contingencies, which you have to monitor yourselves. And that is when you see towards the end of the job that you have an extra $10,000, there is a tendency to spend it. So you might decide at that time, we really do need the window curtains, or we really do need.
the south entrance ramp.
Yeah, so it will be within your control to save that, if there is a contingency left over, which more often than not, there is some contingency left over. You don't run it right to the wire. And it will be up to you whether to
Right.
put that back into the coffers or save it for a rainy day or spend it.
My hope is that we're able to come as close as we can to our original forecast, and the contingencies there just to protect us,
Yeah,
and that money goes back.
that's what the
You know,
purpose
I
is.
mean-
Yeah, and I would
Exactly.
venture to say, I
That's-
mean, it's a fairly straightforward
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah. The only thing, I mean, we're doing it occupied, so there may be,
Yeah.
there may be some things where subcontractors, if they have to come back, because we're working around various things, or any overtime expense, if we ask a contractor to come in and lay flooring down on a weekend, that's something that my contingency would account for. So that's typically what we run into with contingency charges on a job such as this.
And I think we'll get into that, planning that thing, working around people, but we have already talked with staff about taking vacation, and, working flexibly around the construction schedule while still delivering town services, so that there'll be minimal, that the project could move forward as efficiently as possible and with least cost for everybody. So,
So, Sheila, I'd like to say something about, where did it go? The comments of Gabby's comments, which you just alluded to, that we would get into the move.
pre-construction meeting.
The pre-construction, yeah, which I responded
Right.
to you about, but not to the board. And I just want to say that to the whole select board, that the issues of the details of the move are typically worked out at the pre-construction meeting, which is after the project is officially given and the GMP addendum signed. And then in the first meeting, there's a lot of discussion about who makes the decisions, about if there is a day of the week that the staff isn't there, starting time, things that allow the project to proceed in an orderly way in a building that is being kept open. So I feel that that's the more appropriate time to have most of those discussions. I think it's appropriate to ask in general, you know, will we all have to leave the building en masse for 6 weeks? But once it's established that what, if any, if there is a time that you have to close down, once that's established, I wouldn't, if I were you, want to get into all of those details, and it's not forgotten, it will be handled. And if the GMP is thoughtfully stated, which I'm sure it is, I know it is, it will include some allowance for that kind of jockeying of time and place and personnel to make it a smooth project.
And Peter and I have had conversations with staff about how to make that work, and about any concerns that they might have. For example, one person doesn't want to use a porta potty, so she's going to get permission to go up to the school. But
I mean, we
you know, but that may be on a Friday that you'll do it.
Yeah, there's gonna be a period of time where you're gonna have to take, you know, your existing bathroom out of service
Yeah.
and, you know, transition to the new bathroom, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, a year and a half ago when we had issues with the sewer, we used the toilet at the school for 3 weeks.
Yeah. This
You
is
know, that was in the dead of
nothing.
winter.
Yeah.
So I
For
think-
me, it's just most important. Joe's on board. I think you've had conversations with the staff here. I think the select board understands that. You certainly do, Chip, so we can hammer this out. But
Yeah.
I feel good about being able, from what you've said, I think we can make this happen.
Yeah, we do a lot of occupied renovations.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Without it.
and we've done it in some pretty sensitive areas. So
Yeah.
I see this as certainly doable. Are you gonna get sick of us? Probably. But, you know, we know how to work around an occupied office.
The feeling may be mutual as well.
So let me just say, are we going to get sick of you leads me to the next question, which is, I'm assuming that once we do the GMP, we will approve the GMP addendum, which is in some place, I don't know where it is, and then we will, and then you'll give us a projected start date and end date. All
Yes.
things being wonderful and no
Yeah.
contingencies being exploded.
What I'll do is once we know we have a project and we hopefully walk out of here with select board approval, I'll put together a construction schedule for you, and we can start talking about it. And as Chip said, we'll have a what's called a pre-construction meeting, and we can start hammering out some of the details. And at that meeting, I'll bring the supervisor that I'm gonna have run the job on a day-to-day basis here, who's gonna schedule subcontractors, who's gonna talk with Peter, on, what needs to be done and where we can work, where we can't work. And the other thing, the office is closed every Friday. We don't usually have that luxury on a project.
On a project, yeah. So unless there are other questions, I think we are ready to have a motion to accept the GMP. Probably to authorize the select board chair to sign it
On behalf, yes.
on behalf of the select board. And then the next step would be to,
Well, there's I had written a memo to Peter, outlining the GMP. If we can approve that, the thing that we're going to have to sign is an amendment to our contract, which, if we can get approval tonight, I will draft that and I'll send it to you. And I think, Sheila, you had signed, the original contract, so it would be appropriate for you to sign the amendment to that contract.
so is this the memo that you said you wrote to
That's-
Peter?
that's-
That's the explanation, that's what I thought.
That's the
So
explanation,
I haven't
that's-
seen the memo. Is that
Yes.
true?
No, it was sent to you too.
I sent it to you, when you and I were speaking on the
Last
phone.
week? I thought this was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's it, right there.
Okay, I thought you just said no.
It's the
No,
memo
this
of
is
May
the memo.
20th,
This
right?
memo, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the memo that he's referring to.
So, is everybody comfortable?
Yeah,
So this memo is the thing that we will approve or not, with the base scope of work and alternate one, acknowledging the clarifications for a total of $297,960 in hard guaranteed maximum price.
That's if you include alternate one.
One.
That's what she
That's
said.
what she said.
Not
She
two.
did say that.
And so, does somebody want to make a motion?
I so move.
Did you get all of that, Peter?
I'm working on it. So, Richard, you're moving to accept
The memo of May
The
20th
memo.
with the base scope of work and the added alternate number 1 for a
Grand
total
total.
of
$900.
$297,960.
And is there a second?
I'll second that.
Miranda, you're really missing out on the seconds tonight, Gordon.
Brenda and Richard are working so well together.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we also need to move to name GPI as the construction manager?
Or is
Aren't
that
they
it?
already?
Isn't that
Yeah.
I think they're
included?
already.
That's what this is doing.
That's,
Okay.
yeah.
So and now I think we need a motion to allow me to authorize me to sign the
I think
amendment.
to be safe, I think it would be good.
Okay, I
gonna do
move
that one?
that Sheila can sign the contract on behalf of the select board.
The
Second.
amendment to the
Right.
GM addendum. Okay. Gordon seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next thing we need to do is make sure that we have an owner's representative committee, which I would like to suggest is Peter and our building committee, which is Gordon and Richard.
By the way, thank you for sitting in for me
You're so welcome.
with Joe when I could not be there, and I appreciate
And
that.
that I would serve as backup since I seem to be so immersed, but that I would not be, I don't think three of us can be on this committee without warning every single meeting that we do.
No, I
And,
think that's fine.
um,
In reading, Gabby made some comments around this, and I'm not a professional in this realm at all, so I'm not sure I fit. You might, with all the prerequisites that she was concerned about.
Didn't we address most of them?
No, but she spoke specifically about this committee,
Oh, yes.
and, you know, I'm relying, I think, a lot.
I'm so-
My very limited exposure on the Green River Bridge, the
the
foreman on the job really was the grand communicator with primarily Peter.
Would it be more effective if Gabby took
I
place
don't
of
think
one
she
of us?
can,
She cannot.
I don't think she
said
physically.
she could not.
I think she's made it clear
So,
that she can't be on this committee.
unfortunately.
Would you
But
prefer
her-
to be on the committee rather than me?
No. But,
Okay.
I'm sure
That's-
Gabby
that's not what I'm
will
saying, but I'm
advise
just-
us.
I hope so.
yeah, also the things that she raised, Gordon, are things that, let me just tell you that Chip has said, that's this thing here. And there's a long list of things that, that you do in this pre-construction meeting
Right,
that
that's-
basically address all of
Okay,
the.
well, we'll have
you know,
Chip
so
and
so
Joe to walk
I'll
us
just
through
read,
that.
you know, what Chip said to me today was, that's not it.
I think I can handle it, I'm just not sure I can handle it to
So
the
that
degree it's being
includes tentative
requested.
construction schedule, critical work sequencing, designation of responsible personnel, time and day for job site meetings, designated attendees, procedures for processing decisions, for processing applications for payment, preparation of record documents, use of the premises by owners and contractors, all of those things that Gabby was either alluding to or stating specifically are covered in here.
But a
So
lot
I
of
was
this is
saying-
way out of my realm,
No, it's
so.
not, it's
oh,
paying
yes.
bills.
Yeah, but Peter pays the bills for the town, that's what I'm saying, so as long as
You
he's.
you
on the
will
committee.
become quite educated
Okay.
by the time this process
Good.
is finished.
I'll back you up.
I'm purposely, anyway.
If you'd prefer,
No.
I'm happy to back you up.
No,
so.
That's perfect.
Okay.
So we covered that?
And do we need, in regard to this memo and what, the motion that we just passed, do we need a communication plan for communicating this to the
Yes,
townspeople?
that's true too.
In doing something other than the minutes and the TV?
I'm just
People can
asking.
watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I can say that's, you know, I'll do one of my front porch forum things if you think that's a good idea again.
Do we have a date for the first meeting?
Not yet.
Would we like to find a date?
You can schedule that with me.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
I can organize.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Peter will
good.
do a doodle
Good.
thing or something.
And we should check on the status of the permit application.
I thought we were supposed to know about the fire already.
No,
Today.
end of the month, I think.
This is tomorrow.
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 Right.
It may
Already?
be in the mail. They're pretty good.
So, I wanted to thank both of you for your counsel
You're welcome.
and your patience
Time.
and your availability. I didn't bother you Monday.
No bother.
No, but it's,
Monday was a holiday.
we
I
do
know, I
appreciate
probably
it.
did send the emails on Monday, like, no, I don't get this.
And we're not experts in the field, and we appreciate you taking the time to, work with us on it.
Oh, you're welcome.
And the fact, I think you truly understand the concern that this board has for the finances of the town, and we
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
are trying to be as financially cost effective as we can to do this.
And I have to say, I think the board and the town through town meetings has come a very long way in taking on a project that was bigger than you thought it was going to be when we began. And I fully expected to have to take steps backward in order to
Go forward.
to make it happen, and I respect that there were so many hard decisions that you all had to make. And
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, everybody has something different to bring to the table, our residents and each one of us. And we're just doing the best we can to move forward in a caring and thoughtful way.
I think you'll have a nice building, a nice renovation when you're done, and you'll appreciate it.
I think you'll far outlive all of us that are present here.
Well, it's only a 50-year expectation. I don't know if that's true.
50 years, now you tell us.
I won't be here.
I'm gone. I'm just saying. Okay, so thank you very much, both of
Thank
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
For being
We'll see you
so
soon, I'm
flexible.
sure.
Yeah.
And often.
Chip, we can be in touch, or Chip and
Yeah.
Joe, we can be in touch
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yep.
They're both
Thank
scheduled.
you, guys.
Okay.
The next thing on the agenda is the issue of the
Volunteer Fire Department.
Guilford Volunteer Fire Department. So in January, we had an ice jam and the fire department worked, several members of the fire department worked under pretty awful conditions for several hours. And because of state regulations, we were required to submit an invoice for their time so that the state could assess whether or not we as a town or the state as a whole met FEMA financial
Good.
spending.
Minimums. Financial minimums.
Minimums, right, thank you. We didn't, Guilford specifically didn't, and Jared recently inquired about whether or not we would be paying the invoice. And so Peter and I did some research. It would be an unprecedented thing for the town to pay our volunteer fire department for services rendered during an emergency. And it is not something that other towns do. But we did want to acknowledge the request and get the sense of the select board's wishes on this before responding specifically to the fire department.
So just for clarification, we did inquire with Wyndham Regional Commission to know about whether or not other towns have done this. I looked back, our history as well as inquired with Katie. I also talked with Danny, and he said in his 42 years with the town, he has never heard of, aside from Irene, in which the town received
FEMA.
FEMA
FEMA
funding.
money, yeah.
Right, which is what we're trying to do here.
The fire department has never been reimbursed for emergency expenses. And no other towns in the area, unless the town, the fire department is specifically a department of the town, no other towns do that.
So let me just understand. So if the fire department were an official department of the town, then the town would be obligated or wanting to reimburse them, but since
Well, they
they're,
would be town employees.
They'd be town
Oh.
employees.
So we would be
wouldn't
paying
even
for everything.
Yeah.
exactly.
right,
And just to be clear, the invoice from the Guilford Volunteer Fire Department was for a total of $2,610, and it was for the use of 3 of their trucks, as well as several of their staff and their portable water pump. Just so everyone's clear what the invoice was for.
And they did an awesome job, because they were amazing. So I think I would recommend that we not set a precedent, that we not do something different, that unless it is FEMA funded, and which, you know, the town is working on making sure that we satisfy all requirements to get FEMA funding, but this doesn't meet those requirements, so.
So are they putting the invoice to the town because they had an expectation that it might meet the minimum financial requirements of FEMA, and therefore they feel that they lost out on FEMA and they should come to the town? I don't understand why, if they're familiar with the precedent of volunteer services, why are they asking in this instance?
I think it never hurts to ask.
I do not have an answer to that.
Yeah, I think it was just, we got this invoice out there, it doesn't hurt to ask if we're gonna get reimbursed, so,
wouldn't it be nice if
yeah.
we could just,
And while I agree. I'm with Sheila on this one in terms of the precedents. I think, you know, we value our Guilford Volunteer Fire Department beyond.
Greatly,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, it's incredible the job they do. But I think that setting the precedent would not be appropriate.
I agree.
no, I agree also, it's just,
So I just
I
wanted
wish
to
that
get
we
the
could
sense of
support
the select
them.
board. I
I
don't
know,
think we
right.
need to take a motion, you know, to make a
Yeah.
motion. I just,
Thank you for
and
bringing
I
it
think
to
that
the board.
we all appreciate enormously what they did. And I will just say that they had done some swift water rescue training, and it
Yep.
came in handy that day. It was pretty amazing to watch them working, so.
Where was the ice jam at?
Broadbrook, right by the Christ Church, above Christ Church at Gristmill, and the guys were in the water with chainsaws, and there was another guy down the river in case somebody fell into the water. So it was pretty. And then they also pumped out a resident's basement
on Gristmill
Road. Yeah, so it was pretty dramatic.
So, excuse me, before you move on, just for the sake of the minutes, is it acceptable if I put in that you informally agreed?
The consensus of the select board was, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I wonder whether there's, I mean, I don't want to take a lot of time with it now, but I do wonder whether there's a way that we could formally recognize
I think it's
their.
okay to do it. I mean, first of all, I did it at the time.
Well, I know you did.
And secondly, I think it's, when you respond to Jared, you can say that the select board also expressed their deep appreciation to
And I
them.
have put that in the minutes as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Miranda. Rescue Inc. annual contract. Are you talking to us about that? Or?
I would, but I unfortunately missed the meeting because I wasn't in town.
Peter
The
will.
day later was the meeting that I was supposed to be with Richard that you attended.
So,
Where the hell were you?
They moved the meeting.
yeah, so they moved the meeting. And Rescue Inc., because they were, we should have gotten this quite a while ago.
Right.
About
I know
6
that.
weeks ago.
Right, I just didn't know the numbers. I hadn't
Yep,
seen
so
that.
it was about 6 weeks ago, and we only got it less than a week ago.
They were waiting, I can tell you, they were holding out to send the final bills to the town out, had to do with insurance issues.
And it says so in the letter.
Oh,
Yes, in particular
I missed the
Medicare.
letter.
Yeah, Medicare.
Yeah, it was Medicare.
So the contract for this year for the entire town is $49,440.51, which you all saw
Right.
over the weekend. And that will be invoiced monthly at $4,120.04.
And how does that match with our budget appropriations?
If you give me 30 seconds, I will get it out.
Was that in our select board
It should
file?
be.
I couldn't, I went through
I
every.
didn't have a chance to look at that this
It
week.
was, but it's like, it's 6 pages long.
No, but I,
No, it was in the Google Docs.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I went through every.
Because
I read it avidly.
While you're looking up
I-
the
Well, you
numbers.
should,
I knew that all of you would ask about it.
and I'm embarrassed
sure.
because I didn't see it. I knew they were gonna finalize it at the meeting, but I never saw it.
So the one thing, as was discussed last year with the Rescu Inc. budget, is we don't generally know what their proposed budget is until after the select board approves our budget. So we have to
Yes.
make a
Yes.
guesstimate as to what
Right.
it's gonna be.
Right.
I'm just waiting for the document to load.
And that was based on Drew's, when he came and met with the
That's
select
correct.
board prior to us setting our budget, on his assumptions at the time.
So for, sorry, that contract is for FY '19. So the budget for this year, for FY '18, was $47,998.
But what about 2000? We
I
did,
know, I was just,
you're getting there,
I
okay,
was
so,
doing both for you guys.
47,
47,
that was last year, we
I know.
already paid it.
and
47,998 was
Thank you.
this year.
It's pretty close.
And this is $2,500 more
yeah,
for the next
that's what,
budget year.
$2,500 a month.
Can I write on this? We only have to give them back this, right?
You only have to give them that. We budgeted $49,441 for this year.
49,
perfect.
And what was the bill? What's the bill?
$49,541.
that's what I thought, I thought it was.
Wow.
Is
So
that
we-
with
so we
with the
budgeted-
51 cents?
We budgeted $1 above
Yes, look at that.
their budget.
Woo!
That's
Their
pretty
contract.
good.
Makes sense. All right, so
So-
it's in our budget.
It is in our budget.
So I would entertain a motion to sign the contract for Rescu Inc. Emergency Medical Services for the town of Guilford for the period of July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019 in the amount of $49,440.51.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Gordon. Richard, thank
He
you.
was trying to jump
All in favor?
I
Aye.
could see him getting.
And let me just add to, since we're on the rescue topic, that they are doing their annual car raffle.
And I
Tickets
lost
are
last year.
for sale. Well, you'll have another chance this year.
I should hope so.
They
Yeah.
started, they started
It seems like it
It's
just,
the,
it
it's
just
the
finished
Subaru
with
and
the
President,
Subaru, yeah.
and it's a gorgeous color
I
out
never
there.
win it.
Well, but you've got to keep trying,
I do.
and you should buy more tickets
I
to get
will.
a higher opportunity and probability to try. But anyway, that's a big fundraiser for Rescue, and it helps defray the costs that they look for the towns to support them on.
Thank you, Gordon.
Yeah, thank you for going there. So the next thing on the item, the next item on the agenda is the Algiers Fire District Number 1 meeting report
Which
from Gordon and Peter. I think it's the April meeting.
That's correct. That was the quarterly meeting.
You
And
have 2 minutes.
Unfortunately, I missed that.
Jeez.
I missed that one.
No, that was the May planning meeting that you were
Oh,
there.
I was there for this one.
We were both there at the meeting.
I thought this
in-
was the
in
annual.
April.
This is the annual meeting?
No, the last
this
one.
is the last
I'm
quarterly.
sorry,
Annual
I
meeting's
apologize. I
in June.
was at this meeting, and I was very impressed
So
with the job that Peter did in supporting the fire district at this meeting. Now I remember.
do you have any more details to add to that, Peter?
Yes, let me just finish the motion.
They were, I can
Oh.
tell you, they were coming out of that meeting for their annual meeting with numerous, there were some key things that they were working through,
Yep.
which Peter can allude to.
So the meeting that Gordon and I were at in April, it was their regular quarter meeting for them to approve their warrant, pay their bills, review their finances for the quarter, as well as to plan for their upcoming annual meeting. And over the past year, they have been taking numerous steps to comply with state law and around a number of things, including collection of delinquencies, as well as some minor amendments to their bylaws. And because as a fire district, the way that their bylaws are can be amended is slightly different than the way a town is. They are
Municipal entity.
yeah, they are, thank you, a municipal entity. Yes, and so it was just basically accomplishing those two tasks and presenting them and finding out what information they need, what assistance they need, as well as Oh, the other thing that I completely forgot was we just proposed their annual budget to them. So
We at the Royal
we, pretty much, yes.
Well, Peter,
Um,
I mean, he put
yeah,
a
you
good,
did
he did a
okay.
great job.
And I
And
cannot,
this is
I
by
can't
contract
take
to them,
sole credit
right?
for that.
You and-
Ellie and I put the work into the
Okay.
budget.
Excellent.
But they had a document that they were very appreciative of running through, so I think it was helpful for them.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So the annual meeting is June 19th or something? Soon,
No.
right?
It is soon, it is, I can tell you the
And
specific
you're going
date.
to that?
I will be there. I told Herb this yesterday. I am on vacation that entire week, but I am coming in specifically for the purpose of meeting with them. And
What's the date of that?
that is, sorry, the 21st of June.
Midsummer.
It is indeed.
Oh, I have that, I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
at
slacking, huh?
6:30.
Right, no, I do
So-
have that one.
All right, let's move on.
We'll move on, Richard,
Thank you.
to contract update for services template approval. This is a contract that we had the template from the VLCT. It is to satisfy passive requirements. Gabby asked that we run it by Pat Bew, who approved it and sent it back to us for use going forward. And hopefully that means we will not receive any more fines from passive for underestimating overtime in the highway department or not having appropriate contractors for using contractors without workers' comp and liability insurance.
That's the big one, right?
Yeah.
And much to my sorrow, that means that we can no longer hire, say, for example, high school kids with a lawnmower to do cemeteries, which is really annoying, but the
Very dis-
town will get,
Well, Veronica
Fine.
can do it.
Brianna can't do it
She can't
either.
do it either.
So, I would entertain a motion to approve the contract for services template.
So moved.
Second.
I'm abstaining.
May I ask why you're abstaining?
Well, I mean,
You
I
don't
know
agree
we
with
have
it.
to do it.
I see.
It's just
It's a principal
wreaked
issue.
havoc with
Yeah.
our commission.
No, it's horrible.
Totally.
But
That means that we can't, because we only have two.
No, there's 3 of you.
Oh, okay.
She just can't make the motion.
and it's
but she
gonna
can
cost
vote
the
on it.
towns.
It's gonna, well, it'll cost
do
the town,
this.
but it'll save us. We got hit with a fine
Right.
this year.
I understand.
How much was
But-
the fine?
Don't
We
ask
don't-
me.
We do not know yet. It's looking to be between $8,000 and $10,000.
Oh my God.
And the fine,
What was
and this is not the first year we've been hit with a fine,
When
because we
would-
didn't have this contract, and we were hiring people without
It's
workers' comp.
Okay.
It's
So
part-
there's-
50% of it is the highway.
50% of the fine is because the highway department was 41% over their winter budget for employee hours. So that because of that,
And that isn't the first time that's happened.
it
So
is. It's
why-
this is the.
So-
No, that is correct. It's not the first time it's happened. However, this is the largest amount by far that it has happened. And so what happens is we pay our passive insurance, our workers' comp insurance, based on an estimated number of
I
hours
see, okay.
that all of us work throughout the year.
And we get fined if we underestimate
We
it?
do.
Oh, my goodness.
And
It
she-
has something to do with the
business.
weather, which is not
It
in our
does, but
control.
No, the weather's not in our control, but their belief is that experience and planning should account for that.
So we're trying to balance that with not raising the budget.
So the other 50% of the fine from passive will come because we have entered into work agreements with people, as Sheila said, who don't carry the proper insurance, or with whom we have not signed a formal contract.
Is that
So-
something that somebody rats you out for, or how does it?
No, they come and do an audit of
So our-
contracts and payroll and everything.
That's right.
Our insurance company does an audit every spring with us, and this is the 4th year in a row that the town has been notified of this. This happens to be the largest fine that we're going to be getting from them.
We've gotten fines in the past for
And to
this.
Penny's
For the-
credit, she has asked the select board to do this before, and
I-
it has slipped through the cracks.
I knew
So-
this week.
And Peter tried to get it done in time this year, but we got held up with the template of post-approval.
Well, the good
I
news
mean-
is it sounds like it's gonna be
Yeah,
approved.
we'll be done.
I mean, it will be approved, it's just one of those, well, it's like an unfunded mandate, and I guess it just, for the cemetery commission, I don't know how we're going to do our work. Because finally one of our, Peter Hannon said that he would get liability insurance, but he doesn't have workers' comp. And we don't have money to offer anybody support for workers' comp. And so I don't see how we're going to be able to do our work and not be a liability for the town. I mean, because people my argument is
I'm with
really
you.
with them. And
Yeah,
Right.
I
There's
and
nothing
it
we
must
can
be
do about it.
happening all
Go to
over the
Montpelier.
state.
And it's
That's the
indicative
problem.
of a much bigger problem.
right.
Yes,
I mean, it's,
exactly.
Exactly.
I know that, for example, Dick talks about trusting people.
Right.
And it would be nice if we could still do that, but we're not
There's too
even
much
allowed to do that by
litigation.
the state.
Well, it's no different than this town building we're renovating. If we didn't have to go through all these steps for all the federal bureaucracy that needs to be covered, the cost wouldn't be where it
Yeah.
is. I mean, it's, sorry, but I
Moving
agree.
on.
But should
Okay.
we vote?
Oh, vote, sorry.
Yes,
All in
okay.
favor?
There's a motion and a second, we need a
Knowing.
vote.
All in,
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Didn't you
Oh,
understand,
you
Brenda?
did, no?
Okay, I guess, well, so you can go forward even if I abstain?
Yes.
Yes, and you already
Okay, I'll
noted
just
your
plain
abstain.
old abstain, just because I'm in a bad mood about it.
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. LUCA update, Peter.
I'll try to be brief since we
Yes,
took a
please.
while. So LUCA is the local update of census addresses. This was presented to you guys
Right.
way back in the middle of winter time. We finally got our information from the Census Bureau because Lisa and I are going to be the primary ones working on it. We had some issues with the software that the Census Department sent us and took a bit of time and energy to get that dealt with, and is now solved. Once Lisa has finished submitting her update for the grand list, which she is legally obliged to do by next week, we're going to begin work on this. And we'll have approximately 7 weeks from next week to get it completed.
And it's 100 hours.
From the,
Holy mackerel.
Yeah,
from the,
and this is before the real census.
yes.
But you're
100
preparing for
hours?
this, you're preparing supposedly detailed, factual, correct information so the census can go in.
Yes, so it may be more or less, but one of the webinars I attended, as was mandatory for this, is that they estimated, and this was a webinar that was strictly for towns in Vermont, and no one else, only Vermont, that the average town in Vermont of 2,500 residents, it'll take approximately 100 employee hours to accomplish the work.
Not on Peter's job description,
No, it's not.
Not in Lisa's job description.
not in Lisa's job description, but
So another
We don't have
unfunded
any-
mandate.
yes. Federal at this time.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Okay,
On to the warrant.
finance? Gordon,
Okay, I'll make a motion to pay the following warrants. Payroll week ending May 20th, 2018 for
Thank you, Laura.
And thanks for coming.
$5,500.54. Payroll week ending May 27th, 2018 for $5,497.95. Expense warrant number 1822 for $27,688.31. Expense warrant number FW22 for $80. Expense warrant number EM22 for $7,931.35 for a total of $46,703.15. Out of expense warrant 1822, the big expenses that fell into that were diesel, gravel, and a payment to our architect for the renovation of this building.
thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Miranda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any communications?
Wait, you guys need to sign those warrants because this one was missed at the last meeting, although it was approved. So please kindly sign all warrants. There's some here, there's some here.
Well, let's pass them in a systematic manner.
Okay, we
We're
will
going
pass them.
left.
Okay,
Oh, we're going
Shall
left,
we
sorry.
do it
It's dinner at the
clockwise or counterclockwise?
we're doing it
It's time to have a glass
clockwise.
of wine.
Clockwise?
Send it to him.
That's clockwise.
Excuse me. Oh, I signed this one.
Oh, you
One
started it.
down.
One, okay.
I'll start those.
No, you're here.
Here, take this one first, please.
Oh,
Oh, Lord.
Two.
won't you buy me a Mercedes?
A new town office building.
Three. Brenda, please.
So did you discover where the missing warrant was last
It was attached. It was
Yeah,
under-
because
It
when
was-
we left, you were
yes.
looking for it.
It was flipped over backwards in between the pages of the main warrant.
Communications?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm not going to go into them in depth, but so one communication is from, I'm sorry, who seconded that?
I did.
Wait,
You,
I seconded the
Gordon
warrant.
moved.
Gordon
Miranda
moved,
seconded.
Brenda second. And did you vote on it?
Yeah.
Okay. So one communication is jointly from the Wyndham Regional Commission and the Wyndham Regional Prevention Partnership, which entails 4 different local nonprofit organizations. And they would like to, in the future, come to a select board meeting to talk about planning for prevention in the community, mostly related to healthcare issues such as smoking cessation, reduction of drug and alcohol counseling, reduction of drug and alcohol consumption, those types of things. So I've got some documentation from them, should any of you wish to see it. And then Wyndham and Windsor
Sorry,
Housing.
could you just put that into a meeting folder and then we can look at it at our leisure?
I can't because
Not
it's a very
everything?
large.
Oh, but they probably have it online.
I can see if they have it online.
Oh, yeah, I know that the Wyndham Windsor.
Yeah, that was the next.
That's, I think they have their,
This is online.
yeah.
This is the annual report from Wyndham and Windsor Housing Trust.
So do we need to say they can come and visit us, or?
No,
They-
I think it doesn't want to be on the
They
agenda.
want, they will request it. They know that.
Okay.
In fact, they're on the agenda for June 11th.
Excellent.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. if
So,
there's nothing.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
8:30.